This is Into the Multiverse with Josh Peck.
Welcome to Into the Multiverse. We have some really cool footage to show you. We took a trip to Roswell some time back, and there's a whole bunch of behind-the-scenes footage that we haven't shown you yet. We did a lot of on the street, man on the street type of interviews. And one of the strangest things is this whole UFO thing has really become a religion.
It has. People are turning to the UFO phenomenon, as Gary Bates told us when he was here to talk about the film Alien Intrusion. People are turning to UFOs and extraterrestrials to explain the big questions. Where do we come from? Why are we here? And what happens when we die? Yeah. And that was one of the reasons we wrote the book, The Day the Earth Stands Still, because the people that we talked to on the streets all seemed to be looking for something. They couldn't always articulate it, but it was more than just a curiosity. And how did they get here from Zeta Reticuli?
Yeah, it was really interesting. And so we want to show you that. And of course, I didn't introduce him, but you guys should know him well enough by now. Derek Gilbert is in studio with me. Yeah, so while we were in Roswell, we did a series of interviews, and we want to show you that footage now. So check this out.
Now, how would you describe this store? It's a
Christian-based rock and fossil shop. We believe that in John 1:4 says, "Through him all things were created, and nothing that was created without him," paraphrased. And we believe that God created the heavens and the earths and the rocks that are in them, and we can appreciate God through his creation.
Well, that's a sentiment that my wife and I can share, because we were both very interested in science. My wife is a molecular biologist by training. I should point out that we're on Main Street in Roswell, in the heart. In fact, the official festivities are right across the street, basically. And Don James is the owner and proprietor here. We were introduced, sort of, through a mutual friend, Guy Malone, who is So this is really a almost ground zero for the ongoing effort to perpetuate the story about what happened in 1947. So what kind of people come into your shop, Don?
I have a lot of people that are either very skeptical about it, or they're very into the alien phenomenon. I get people from all over the world that come here specifically to see what is going on in Roswell, what the Roswell incident has been about, and their obviously #1 spot to go see is the UFO Museum, which is probably the biggest feature here in Roswell, especially during the UFO Festival. The festival, as far as I know, started in the 70s, and people basically, this town was dealing with just financial woes at the time, and somebody came up with the idea to exploit the whole UFO incident that occurred in 1947. And so they started exploiting it, and then, of course, the UFO Museum came to be, and now all the alien shops. We wanted to have something that was different. And so I've always been into the rock. Well, 13 years ago, I was a childhood fascination that was revived. And my wife one day made a comment. She said, you need to do something to support your habit. So I started selling rocks and fossils, and through a process, we ended up with this building here, and we just decided to work. We wanted to have the whole avenue. A lot of people are into evolution, and we're not. We believe that God created all things, as I mentioned, and we wanted to open up that topic, that discussion, without getting into a major debate. And of course, we sell the rocks and fossils, and we get a lot of people who come in here who are into the metaphysics. And they don't understand how we can mix rocks, which are metaphysics to them, and God. And that's when I quote again John 1:4. Through him all things were created, and nothing that was created without him. And they go, okay. And so I'm able to share with them. And it's a ministry, because it opens up the door for me to talk about God to them. And so that's what our purpose was.
That's remarkable. So a lot of the people who come to Roswell, then, you say they're fascinated. You get some who are skeptical, some who are fascinated. What kind of answers do those people who are fascinated with the Roswell situation, or true believers, if you will, what sort of answers, questions are they trying to get answered when they come here?
Well, they're looking for truth. And a lot of them, it's a curiosity. Is there really aliens? And we provide an alternate view as opposed to being pro-alien. And so they come in there quite often, they ask, do you really believe in aliens? And my response is, I don't necessarily believe that there are aliens here on Earth visiting. Is there other life on other planets? There's a very good possibility of that.
Now that's an interesting position to take because although the church through history has believed in the possibility of other worlds and other races, because to say that there can't be would be limiting on God's omnipotence.
Right.
But in the last century or so, especially since Darwin and the theory of evolution came to dominate our government schools, most Protestant Christians reject the idea that there could be any extraterrestrial presence. But you hold that that might be possible.
It's possible, but the real issue, if you go into the reality of it, they would be light years away. And to travel to this planet, I mean, we talk about that. The scientists talk about us traveling to other planets. But it's feasibly unrealistic because the distance, first of all, to be able to maintain a craft that could go that far, unless they went into, even with light speed travel, warp travel as they call it, it's just still, you're talking generations before you got to wherever you were. And maintaining a ship and the food supply, the things that are needed to sustain life, sunlight, and the different things, it's just not feasible.
And not to mention the radiation and the intensity as it increases with speed. They're even finding that the electromagnetic field of a planet may have a lot to do with the ability of, well, here on Earth, for us being able to survive. Yeah. So, yeah, there's a lot there. So what are some of the more interesting, what's the most interesting conversation you've had with somebody who came here and began talking to you about the rocks and fossils you have here and your belief that all of this was created by God?
I get a lot of people that, I guess the most interesting is the people that come in and they believe that the rocks have powers. And they try to convince me that the rocks have powers. Now, to me, I pick up a rock, and I mean, there are some rocks that have inherent powers. Magnetite has magnetic energy. Quartz has kinetic energy. We've proven that. We use quartz in a lot of energetic things. We use it for producing lasers and watches and different electronic environment things. So we know there are energies there. Whether it goes as far as saying that they can healing energy and awareness and so forth, I was quite against the idea of rocks having energy up until a Christian friend of mine mentioned to me, we were talking about this and how I was dealing with people here, and he asked me a very interesting question. He said, Don, he says, do you think God created plants to heal people? And I'm like, yeah, it's obvious. We have all kinds of herbs and stuff that are used for healing. So he says, well, if God would create plants for healing, why wouldn't he create minerals for healing? And it literally stopped me in my thinking. And yeah, God could do that, but give God the credit for it.
Right, right.
Don't give the rock the credit, because the rock itself didn't do it. God did it. Mm-hmm. And so that's where I've been at it since then. Mm-hmm. And I try to use that ministry as well to tell people, yes, the rock could have energy in it. You may be feeling energy that I don't feel. Mm-hmm. But that doesn't mean that God didn't create it. God didn't enable somebody to be able to have that sensitivity to know. Now, I do believe that it can be exaggerated, just like a lot of things that Sure. man tends to do, exaggerate things, as far as how much energy and how much healing power and awareness and all of that goes. So I keep it at that profile. I'm open to the discussion, but I avoid conflict or debate. The Bible says, avoid vain arguing, because it bears no fruit. And if my discussion with somebody comes to a point where it is bearing no fruit, I will end the conversation. My purpose here is to inspire, to edify, and to glorify God.
It's a unique ministry right here in the heart of Roswell, New Mexico. We're here for the 70th anniversary festival on Main Street, Roswell. Don James, the owner of Ancients of Days, Rocks and Fossils. Don, it's an honor to meet you, sir.
Thank you.
On Main Street, Roswell, with gentlemen here from Chicago. Your name, sir?
My name's Greg Zanches.
Greg, what brought you to Roswell?
Well, I'm just traveling in the United States in an RV, and we just happened to be coming down Roswell, and I know about the UFO thing, so I wanted to come and see it and just kind of see what everything's all about.
Now, what is it about the Roswell crash that got your attention?
The Roswell, a lot of people, to me, I think it's more of a cover-up than an actual thing that really happened, and I think from there it just grew, and it's something to hold on to. Everybody wants to believe that we're not alone in the universe, which I think is probably the case, but I don't think there's green men with giant eyes. I think if it's anything, and if it did make it to Earth, it'd be like an amoeba or something more like that.
One of the questions that we're asking people, because we are a Christian broadcasting outlet, is whether as your faith in God has affected your understanding of the Roswell event. I guess maybe a better way to put the question is this: let me ask you up front. I mean, do you believe that there is a God?
I do believe there is a God, and He's all empowering. And with there being so many stars, I mean, at the night we look and we see just like a millionth of a millionth of a millionth of what we can actually see that God created. And to think that we're the only one, I think that's kind of selfish of us. I think, there may be things there. I mean, it's probably not, walking, have two eyes and things like that like we are. And if they are, they're so far away that we won't probably in our lifetime be able to contact them, and they might not be able to contact us.
And then that, of course, begs the question, because there's a reason that people come to Roswell to inquire and look for answers, and that is what contact would mean to humanity. If there was a legitimate, authentic extraterrestrial intelligence contact, for example, lands on the grounds of the United Nations in New York or the White House lawn, how would that affect society? How would that affect the world?
I think society would kind of freak out if they, we're so in tune to the way we think that if there was another being from a different part of the universe here, I think a lot of people wouldn't be able to comprehend that. And when they're not able to comprehend it, they act a little different. And I think that sometimes society may, you see how riots happen and things like that. Things of that nature would happen.
Well, let me ask you this, a more personal question. How would this affect your understanding of God and His relationship to man?
Oh, I would seek out as much information, if that really happened, as possible from that. To try to, to think about, okay, well, God created us, and God created this being. There's got to be something linking us together somehow. Why would God create us too? Let's try to figure out what that is and research that. And then I'm sure that'll make us a better people, and probably for that other intelligence form, make them, understand. Hopefully they're not going to kill us, but they're not.
Yeah, assuming that their book isn't a cookbook,
Yeah, exactly. That they'll, we can help each other and just be one.
Well, now, you say you're traveling around the country, and so you're meeting a lot of people, a lot of different parts of the country, an experience most people don't have, so it gives you kind of a unique perspective on this. Based on what you know of people around the country, how do you think people who say they believe in God, or people who legitimately believe in God, how do you think it would affect their faith if a legitimate, authentic extraterrestrial craft landed here in the United States?
It's hard because different people believe in different gods and things like that. Some believe it's son of man. Some believe it's a goat. Different things. So depending upon how they see the things, they may interpret it differently. I think God could put anything anywhere He wants, but our brain, even though it's so developed that we can, have this giant festival here and all the cars, everything, we may not be intelligent enough to comprehend something like that. Just like God, you try to comprehend what is God, who is God. You can't. God is everywhere. God is everything. You can't comprehend that because our brains aren't designed to comprehend that. Just like a dog, no matter how many times you talk to it, and it's never going to answer you back. because its brain just doesn't have those higher functions. Same thing with us. We don't understand. We can't understand that because of such a high level.
Yeah, by definition, if we could, that would make us God.
Yeah, exactly. We're pretty close.
We're on Main Street. It's the Roswell UFO Festival 70th anniversary, and Debbie Dunaway is here. She's got a booth here for the festival, and I couldn't help noticing the shirts behind you, Debbie. You've got a message here.
Yes, I do. I think we're all, well, none of us are perfect, but Jesus did die for all of us, so that's my belief.
Now, you're surrounded by a lot of folks here who have different beliefs.
Yeah.
And a lot of folks who come to Roswell looking for answers, and not all of them are looking to the Bible or to Jesus Christ for answers.
Right.
What kind of mix of people do you get coming through your booth here?
Oh my gosh, it's a really, really varied mix of people. Matter of fact, I've noticed that some of the ones from way far away, they are so different. I am offending them with my purses because they are concealed handgun purses. I offended a man that came in. Wow. And so now I'm finding that I need to be careful with that, you know, so.
Wow. I mean, the main reason I don't have my LCP is because of the TSA and flying down here, but still, it's.
Yeah, I mean, he was really offended. He did not want to hear about the purses. And so, all right. I mean,
Now, the people who really come from far away, I mean, it's one thing to come down from Albuquerque or Alamogordo. It's something else to come from. We're here from the Ozarks because our boss said we had to. I'm joking, Tom. But there are people who come from a long distance away. What are they looking for?
well, you know, they just really want to know what this UFO deal is about. I mean, this is huge. It's really intriguing. And so, you know, you'll never walk down a street in Roswell ever that you won't see tourists walking up and down the street with their cameras, taking photos and asking questions and trying to find out. And you will never speak with a telemarketer on a phone ever and tell them you're from Roswell, New Mexico without getting UFO questions. It's inevitable. It just happens. So
what are they? What answers? What questions are they trying to get answered? I mean, above and beyond.
Really happen.
And what is your thoughts on that?
Well, I just have to refer it back to my boss. When I was in high school, he was a really, really stern, strong man. He was ex-military. He didn't mess around at all. Matter of fact, if you got a phone call, he was like, no frivolities. I mean, you know, he was a really straightforward man. And his name was Walter Hott. And he was in the Air Force when all of this took place. As a matter of fact, I believe there's a lot of documentation on him and his involvement in the UFO Museum. But he swears it happened, and I believed him. So
something happened here.
Something happened. I don't know exactly what it was, but something definitely happened.
Now, a lot of folks who are looking to answer the questions here are trying to find answers to questions beyond just whether or not it happened. I mean, what would it mean to many of these people if it was somehow conclusively proved that what crashed at Roswell was an extraterrestrial craft?
You know, I don't know. I don't know what that would mean. Government cover-up? I don't know.
Well, as a Christian, what would it mean to you?
What would it mean to me? Well, I think, honestly, I just think it would be obnoxious to think that we're the only people in the universe. God did not tell us that we are the only people here. You know, he is obviously capable of creating a whole other universe somewhere else. So maybe he did.
Okay. How do you think a lot of the people that are coming here to Roswell, how do you think many of them would respond?
I believe if they're here, then they are believers in a way. I mean, why would you come here? Why would you travel thousands and thousands of miles, take away time off work, pay, and the cost of the travel and bring your family here if you didn't believe? So I think in some way or another, they believe.
So now, if a legitimate extraterrestrial intelligence were to land one day on the White House lawn, how would it affect your faith in God?
Wow. Well, it wouldn't affect my faith in God. I always have faith in God. It's just another aspect of it. It's just like, wow, you know, just another, oh, he really did do that, I guess, you know, just another amazing, unexplained miracle.
What kind of questions do you get from people? How do these shirts open up conversations? And if so, well, where do they go? How do they lead? And I ask this because I notice you're right next to a booth that's promoting the New Age movement,
Right.
and contacting other spirits, which of course is something the Bible tells us we're not ever supposed to do. And then people come to your booth and they see America needs Jesus and Jesus thinks I'm to die for. How does that, what happens?
You know, it's really strange. I am in the middle of a couple of really different booths, and I wondered how people would take it. But I mean, there's a lot of Christian people in Roswell and in the surrounding, well, in the world. And I think we're all tolerant. We all, I mean, I don't know. I don't have anything against any other religions. I don't have a problem with any of it. We all believe what we believe, and I've never had any controversy over any of it. So I do have a lot of people that love them, and they buy them like crazy. So
If people ever ask you, why do you believe what you believe?
no, they really don't. And I don't know. I guess because I'm born and raised here. We were all raised in the church here. You know, just a small hometown Bible town. So.
Dealing with those who come to your booth with, what's the biblical phrase, gentleness and respect?
Oh yeah, everyone here is great and respect. You will find this is a really, really, really friendly area, good area.
We have so far, and Debbie, you are definitely one of them. Thank you.
Thank you, appreciate you very much.
We're on Main Street in Roswell, New Mexico with,
Eleanor Haskin.
and where are you from, Eleanor?
I'm from Louisville, Kentucky.
So what brought you all the way from Louisville to Roswell?
So I actually used to go to the McMinnville UFO Festival in McMinnville, Oregon,
Right,
and
sure.
I loved it. It was amazing. And this year I actually had school conflictions, so my dad and I, he's just kind of wandering over there, we decided to come here instead. We heard it was the 70th anniversary. We're big UFO fanatics, especially myself, and wouldn't miss out on it.
So what was it about the 1947 Roswell crash that you find so intriguing?
I think it's, the multitude of cover-ups that the U.S. government sort of put forward to, I don't know, I hesitate to say disinformation campaign, but, it kind of feels
You
like
can say that. We would say that.
All right, well, a disinformation campaign. I find it really fascinating. I'm also a podcaster, and my podcast deals with issues of supernatural and paranormal belief, so I really wanted to come and kind of check stuff out.
Okay, I knew there was a reason we were going to like this young lady, because that's essentially what we do. Skywatch TV is a Christian television channel, and we're maybe a little different in the way we approach the possibility of the existence of extraterrestrial intelligence.
Awesome. That's cool.
So I guess in that sense then, what do you think, first of all, happened at Roswell?
I really hesitate to say, and a lot of that is because I'm a folklorist, so I never really take a hard stance on anything and rather let the people who are involved in the situation speak for themselves. So I'm sorry, I don't really have a good answer for that. I've not spent a lot of time exploring my own belief of it.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, that's fair and that's honest.
Okay.
And that's what we're looking for.
All right, good.
Now, the question then of extraterrestrial intelligence would obviously have implications for humanity. What do you think those might be? How would our society here in the U.S. respond, for example?
That's really tough. I think it depends on what camp you're in. The idea of reverse engineering has been sort of a long time part of the U.S. approaches to conspiracy theories regarding extraterrestrials. And if that is the case, that there actually are, the U.S. government's already reverse engineering things, then I think we can already see kind of the effects of that in terms of technology regarding cell phones and computers and things like that.
Kind of the Philip Corso story, right?
Yeah, exactly. But I think, if we were to look towards the future and assume that that's not what's happening and that there would be, if I understand your question correctly, that we would eventually kind of come upon extraterrestrial technology, I definitely think it would unfortunately probably have kind of a political and or war scheme behind it, even though I personally hope for something a little more peaceful than that.
Now, why would that be, do you think?
I think that the interested parties behind that technology would have that approach, particularly coming from governmental sources. I just don't really see them not trying to weaponize whatever it might be that we would find. Which is kind of bleak. Sorry.
No, kind of bleak, but as Christian, it kind of fits with the worldview of the condition of the human heart, sadly.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Well, if you don't mind my asking,
Sure.
Where do you stand on the issue of faith?
I was raised Catholic, but I'm currently non-practicing.
Okay. How would the disclosure of a legitimate extraterrestrial intelligence presence or contact affect your belief in God?
That is a really tough question, and I sort
That's
of.
why we asked it.
Oh man, it's kind of one of those things where I know whatever response I say now, in 3 hours I'll be like, oh my gosh, why didn't I say that thing? I definitely think, as full disclosure, I'm also an academic, and as I'm sure you're aware, in the academic population, there's a lot there's more of a likelihood of agnosticism or atheists. And I definitely tend towards the agnostic route. And I think it would potentially kind of, I actually don't know if it would make me call into question my belief of God. I would be more interested in the academic and folkloristic responses first and foremost before my own. Mm-hmm. So I'm very sorry.
No, not at all.
Weird saying that too.
Not at all. Not at all.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Great Christianity.
Well, we buy into the idea that gentleness and respect is part of our calling. So
I appreciate that a lot.
And interestingly, one of our very good friends is an academic, mm-hmm. but he's also a respected ufologist, which makes him a really interesting fellow to talk to. And he'll be part of this project.
Great.
As an academic then, and a folklorist, and having some insight perhaps, or at least exposure to the ideas of different groups of people, what they mm-hmm. think and how they view the world, how do you think they might respond, different types of people would respond to the, say, an actual craft landing on the White House lawn?
Oh, wow. You know, I think interestingly, I think there would still be a lot of doubt in terms of conspiracy theories, people saying that this is still just a governmental hoax. I think it would be a long, long time before, you know, a huge swath of the population really understood what had actually taken place or chosen to believe in that. Mm-hmm. I definitely do think that there would be a rise in terms of questions of belief and reevaluations of belief, and I think it would be really interesting to see how Christianity and faith played into that. And
mm-hmm.
I think it's really tough to say exactly how that would pan out, but as a belief scholar myself, I do think that there would be sort of an uptick in people trying to seek answers to questions, religious and non-religious alike. Sort of a talk-around answer.
No, that makes a lot of sense because that's kind of our sense of the issue as well.
Yeah.
But we don't want to impose. I mean, otherwise we just interview ourselves and we'd be done with it. It certainly would be easier than standing here in 106-degree heat.
Which I admire that you're doing. That's
well, no, and I appreciate you coming out and being willing to talk and share with us. We're on Main Street, downtown Roswell, the 70th anniversary festival with
Anthony Johnson.
Anthony, where are you from?
I'm from Colorado Springs. So Colorado Springs, not exactly next door to Roswell. What brought you down here? I came last year, and I decided I have to come back with the rest of the family. What is it about Roswell that attracted you here? Oh, the aliens. Of course, that's why we all are here. No question, they're everywhere. What is it about that? What happened here in Roswell back in '47? What is it that you find interesting? Was it a cover-up or was it not a cover-up? And I guess the next question then is, what would it mean if it wasn't a cover-up? I mean, if something actually did it, well, if it was a cover-up, let me put it that way. If the government was actually hiding the fact that something actually crashed in the desert, what would that mean? There's something else out there. And so we're here to find that out. Okay. And if not, it has a good time with the festival either way. So what would that mean? Let me ask you this, if you don't mind my asking here, but we're back into the shade. Yeah, I know you're catching the sun. You're going to step in a little closer. We're from the Midwest. It never gets 107 degrees there. Where do you stand on faith? I mean, do you believe in God? Yes. Okay, so if it was proved beyond a doubt that an actual extraterrestrial crash, or if someday an actual ETI were to land on the White House lawn, how would that affect your faith in God? Yeah, not at all. I would still believe. It doesn't mean that since there's aliens, there can't be anything else. So, okay, how do you think other people might respond to that? I mean, do you think that Christians in general, or Jews or Muslims would how do you think they would respond? There would be a little bit of an outbreak of hysteria, I think, but other than that, it doesn't really change my faith in anything. I know the government has looked into this and commissioned some studies into how it would affect the faith of different denominations and different religions. Why do you think there'd be some mild hysteria? Because of the one world. God created one world. For there to be aliens, there would have to be a different world. So that kind of. And there are some people whose faith doesn't allow for that other existence. That humans are all there is. True. So I figure that either way, whether there's aliens or not, there has to be that higher being. So there has to be a God either way, whether there's aliens or not. So God could have created them as well as mankind and just not bothered to tell us about it. He created the angels. The government might be telling us not about it, so It might be the government trying to cover up something. Or the aliens don't want us to know they're here. Somehow, one way or another.
Okay.
It could just be a grand cover-up.
So what would that mean from terms of faith? I mean, what were the big questions that you hope to answer by finding out whether or not the existence of ETs are genuine? I mean, are there what mysteries would that unlock?
What else is out there? There's always has to be something else out there. So, if
other worlds,
out there, we should know about it. Like, why not? Especially if there's intelligent beings out there, it'd be something to know about.
Yeah. Just for the purpose of.
I mean, if like you could go visit an angel, you want to go see the angel. So, they could be angels, they could be demons, they could be extraterrestrials. It could be anything.
Let me ask you this: what do you think happened in Roswell in 1947?
Well, it wasn't a weather balloon. I know that much. So, I mean, I don't know what it is. I'm not qualified to say, I guess, because, you know, I wasn't there. But it wasn't a weather balloon that they try to say it was now. So, had to be something else.
But whatever was interesting enough to bring you down from Colorado.
Oh, just $5 beers bring me down from Colorado.
God bless you, brother. No, appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, I hope that was enjoyable, and I hope that helps in some way. It's really interesting just to see that, you know, you would expect UFO experts, you know, to be there looking for more answers and everything. But a lot of times it was kind of similar to how when you talk with a new Christian and they kind of don't really know, like, about the Bible or God, and they're trying to. It was kind of that same sort of attitude, which kind of goes into this idea about it being a religion. I thought that was really, really interesting.
Yeah, it was an eye-opening experience for us as we walked up and down Main Street and saw there was one of the local churches had a booth there to talk to people.
Right.
But most of what we saw there, you know, there were a lot of arts and crafts and so forth, but most of the there was a very heavy New Age influence there. A lot of crystals for sale, a lot of palm reading, tarot card reading, and so forth, because that's what people are going to these events to find, the answers to the big questions of life. The Space Brothers, the Ashtar Command, the Great White Brotherhood are here to help mankind evolve to the next stage in our development, you know, to take us from our, you know, organic, biological, you know, meat suits right now to transcend into something else. And this is a lie that has been sold to humanity since the garden. It's just for the 21st century, it's dressed up in a science fiction veneer.
Right. And you know what a lot of people that go to those festivals don't realize is that we've already been promised that through Jesus.
Yes.
But I think you know, it's a harder pill to swallow for some, because Jesus does care about how you live your life, whereas aliens don't.
Right.
But, you know, again, do you want the negligent parent that doesn't care about what you do, or do you want the loving parent who's going to be with you and who's going to take care of you and instruct you on how you should live your life and what's best for you? You know,
right.
I certainly say Jesus is the way.
Yeah, amen to that. Yeah, again, it was really eye-opening, and one of the interviews that I thought was most intriguing was when we went in and talked to the owner of the rock and fossil shop there on Main Street. He's basically there in the heart of serving as a missionary to Roswell and to the seekers who come to Roswell looking for those answers among the stars. So, you know, God bless him, God bless Guy Malone for serving as a missionary to Roswell, an experiencer himself, but trying to give proper context to the phenomenon. And now, as the UFO true believers are beginning to discuss the phenomenon in terms of extra-dimensional rather than extraterrestrial, we have a Mars Hill moment that we've not seen regarding this phenomenon since the modern UFO phenomenon began in 1947. The church can stand up now and say, hey, extra-dimensional, you're talking our language now. We know that there have been non-human entities visiting the Earth for thousands of years. Let's talk about that. And that can open the conversation and eventually bring people back to the cross, because we've got to lift up Christ and Him crucified. If He is not raised, we are still in our sins, and we're, you know, and we're still lost. And sadly, these people are lost. They're seeking. We have an opportunity to reach them, speaking their language, because now their language has become our language.
Amen. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And if you all out there want some extra assistance in that, of course, Derek and I have a whole bunch of free interviews that you can go and check out. But I also want to let you know how you can get a hold of our book, The Day the Earth Stands Still, which is about all this stuff. But also included in that is a package of a whole bunch of new interviews that have never been released before and never will be released again, except for, through Skywatch TV Store. You can't go on Amazon and find these. Also, audiobooks, extra reading materials and things like that. So we want to show you how to get a hold of that. And if you couldn't tell, the generators behind us are not the Into the Multiverse ones, is because that we're very, very busy. We're very busy trying to get all this stuff out to you, and we didn't turn them on, but you all know what you're watching. It is Into the Multiverse. Make sure to check us out here on YouTube and subscribe. Click that little bell so YouTube will notify you when we put something new up. Well, Derek, thank you so much for joining me. This has been a blast.
My honor. Thank you.
And thank all of you for joining us into the Multiverse yet again. Until next time, take care and God bless.
3 very mysterious shiny lights have police and residents puzzled.
This pilot who flew Barack Obama says UFOs are real and he's seen one firsthand.
The triangular-shaped flashing object appears to be floating above the capital city.
So this large disc,
oh yeah,
massive, it was following you.
It was pacing us. Here's this giant red ball just above the clouds.
Unbelievable.
Oh, it was.
4 different species, at least, had been visiting this planet for thousands of years.
For the first time in history, the disturbing truth behind the push for official disclosure of extraterrestrial intelligence and UFOs has been uncovered. For years, religious and secular researchers have tried to determine how the world would react to a genuine extraterrestrial reality. But what if their conclusions are wrong? Humankind has defined them as devilish creatures. Yet something even more diabolical is occurring. What if there's a difference between ancient demonic phenomena and the question of extraterrestrial life? It was hinted at in the WikiLeaks.
People really want to know what the government knows.
I have said I want to open the files as much as we can.
A reality that lurks in the shadows that will soon come to light. A truth so shocking, it threatens the destiny of every soul on planet Earth. You must ask yourself, why now suddenly is seeking to answer the question of UFOs life-threatening?
This is another investigator who is getting very close to information on official disclosure that's now been found dead.
I've talked to a lot of pilots here, and they've all admitted that they've seen UFOs, but they kind of keep quiet about it.
The government discounts every single report that ever seems to come out, every UFO report.
I'm about the only person willing to get in front of a camera and talk about the UFOs that were flying overhead.
Promises of earth-shattering news are being quietly whispered by scientists and government insiders. Is something about to happen that was prophesied in the Holy Bible? This November, internationally acclaimed best-selling authors Josh Peck and Derek P. Gilbert peel back the lid on an astonishing cover-up and expose on a most insidious deception. In The Day the Earth Stands Still, unmasking the old gods behind ETs, UFOs, and the official disclosure movement.
The holidays are rapidly approaching, and now's your chance to save big on the largest Skywatch TV giveaway of the year. We're proud to announce the Day the Earth Stands Still Ultimate Collection. When you purchase The Day the Earth Stands Still from Skywatch TV, you'll also receive Josh Peck's most significant work in the new compilation book, Unraveling the Multiverse. Also back in print through Defender Publishing for the first time ever, Dr. Michael Heiser's breakthrough books, The Facade and The Portent. But we're just getting started. You'll also receive the brand new, top secret 5-volume DVD collection, Project Stargate. This unprecedented series of never-before-released confidential interviews features 12 of the world's leading authorities on UFOs, so-called aliens, gods, and the coming day of contact. You'll be amazed as we go behind the scenes to ask experts what they really believe is coming. Watch as men with security clearances like Dr. Chuck Missler share for the first time what they know. Then take notes as Dr. Michael Heiser, the late Chris Putnam, Russ Dizdar, Joe Jordan, L.A. Marzulli, Daryl Sims, Gary Stearman, and others weigh in on what will soon cause the world to stand still in awe. And yet, we're still not finished. You'll also receive Dr. Thomas Horn's presentation, The Secret Vatican and Alien Antichrist Connection on DVD, the digitally re-released legendary 20-hour audio series, Official Disclosure, the DVD presentation, Quantum Physics in Prophecy, and 2 free brand new gift books to add to your library or to give away as gifts this holiday season. Sold separately, this colossal special offer holds a retail value of over $300, but it's yours now for a very limited time at only $39.99 plus shipping and handling. So don't delay. This avalanche of holiday gifts is perfect for the serious researcher in your life, but is only available while supplies last. So take advantage of this, the largest Skywatch TV giveaway of 2017, while you can when you purchase the Day the Earth Stands Still Ultimate Collection, now at the Skywatch TV store. Order online or call 1-844-750-4985.